Welcome to week 3 of the UGA Extension UGA Golf Course Walkaway program. This week's topic is cutting sodium in the diet. We consume much more sodium in this country than we need. Although we get some of the sodium from the salt that we add to our food, most is already hidden in the processed foods we buy. Today we'll talk about the benefits of reducing our sodium intake and how to do it. High intakes of sodium have been associated with many chronic diseases, especially high blood pressure, which can lead to heart attack, stroke, and kidney disease. However, you may not realize that high sodium food levels also increase loss of sodium from our bones, leading to osteoporosis. There are some people who do not see an effect on their blood pressure when they reduce the sodium levels in their diet, but many people, especially those who are older, of African American heritage, or those who have other chronic diseases like diabetes, will see a beneficial effect from cutting back on high sodium foods. The only way to know if it helps is if you try. Everyone needs to have their blood pressure checked at least once a year. If you have high blood pressure, check it more often. You may even want to check it yourself at home occasionally. High blood pressure is now diagnosed at a blood pressure of 130/80 or higher. This is lower than the previous cutoff for high blood pressure, which was 140/90 or higher. Lifestyle changes are recommended as a part of treatment for any blood pressure over 120/80. However, medications may need to be added as a part of the treatment once a blood pressure diagnosis has been made at 130/80 or higher, if an individual's blood pressure is not sufficiently controlled by lifestyle changes alone. Lifestyle changes can lower blood pressure to include weight loss if you are overweight or obese. This is the most effective way to lower your blood pressure. Increasing physical activity, especially aerobic activity, is also important. Diet-related lifestyle changes include limiting sodium as a part of the DASH diet, which we will talk about shortly. Limiting your alcohol and stopping smoking is also important for lowering blood pressure. The DASH diet, which stands for the Dietary Approach to Stop Hypertension, provides more of the nutrients that help lower blood pressure and control weight, and less of the nutrients that raise blood pressure and increase the risk for heart disease. The DASH diet is simply a health-balanced, largely plant-based diet that includes adequate vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, beans, and peas to provide a variety of nutrients, especially fiber, potassium, magnesium, and some plant-based proteins. DASH also includes low-fat and fat-free dairy products to provide adequate calcium and some protein. We're going to discuss 4 ways to cut back on your sodium. We're going to talk about limiting our processed foods, limiting fast food and other restaurant foods, reading the nutrition facts label, which we talked about last week, and cooking food at home. Many popular foods contain a lot of added sodium. Processed foods like chips, crackers, canned foods like soups, meats, sauces, and vegetables, frozen foods like pizza, frozen meals, vegetables with added sauces or seasonings, and condiments like ketchup, mustard, salad dressings, or soy sauces. One that always catches up to me is barbecue sauce. The next time you look at a barbecue sauce, look at the ingredients and try to find a barbecue sauce that does not have high fructose corn syrup or sugar in the first 3 ingredients. Another high processed food that has a lot of sodium is cheese. We mentioned on the previous slide for restaurant foods, including fast foods, are often very high in sodium. Some restaurant meals and even single items like fast food sandwiches have half or more of the recommended amount of sodium that we should be eating daily. Now that we're more familiar with the sodium content of foods, let's take a look at how much sodium is in a few fast food popular items. As you can see below, a small hamburger has 510 milligrams. A cheeseburger, just by adding a slice of cheese, adds 190 milligrams of sodium. A grilled chicken sandwich has 820 milligrams of sodium, and a medium French fry has 280 milligrams of sodium. Now you may be looking at this and thinking, how would a grilled chicken sandwich have 310 more milligrams of sodium than a small hamburger? And you have to keep in mind that a lot of these grilled chicken sandwiches are marinated in a very high sodium content solution. On most packaged foods, you can find sodium on the nutrition label. This was the topic of last week's lesson, so you should not have any breaking news on this slide. There'll be 2 numbers that will help you decide whether you want to consume this food or not. The number right next to the word sodium will be the actual milligrams of sodium that are in a particular serving of that food. There's also a number listed that will tell you whether that amount is high or low. That is the percent daily value. So what items should you choose? To choose the lowest sodium foods, quickly look at that percentage daily value on the far right side. And remember that this tells you what percentage of that total day's sodium intake that food contains. Lower sodium foods will have a daily percentage value of 5% or less. High sodium foods will have a percent daily value of 20% or more. Foods moderately and high sodium will have a percent value right in between there. Balance out your low sodium foods with your high sodium foods to limit and stay below your daily sodium limit. Over the past few slides, we have seen that processed foods, which come in a variety of forms, are typically higher in sodium, so they should be limited. So if we're going to reduce the total amount of processed foods that we eat, what are we possibly going to eat instead? If you try to cook homes at food without added salt, they would typically have a lot less sodium than their fast food or processed food counterparts. For example, a homemade hamburger on a whole grain bun with a baked potato has less than half of the sodium than a fast food hamburger. And if you substituted a baked potato for the French fries, the exact same food, just cooked in a different way, you will significantly cut down on the sodium and the saturated fat. Think about your cooking habits when you add salt without really thinking about it. A lot of times we will add salt to the cooking water. This does not have much of an impact on the overall taste or quality of the food. You can decrease the amount of salt in your recipes by at least half. You can always add herbs and spices. Most herbs and spices have no calories and just add lots of flavor and some vitamins and minerals. You can also remove the salt from the table. It just does not need to be there. A lot of times salt is out of place, out of mind. And please make sure to taste your food before seasoning it. A lot of folks just go ahead and as soon as they get their food, they put salt on it without even tasting it. So please try to taste your food before adding salt. Now, if you are going to be trying to reduce your blood pressure, you may be on blood pressure medicine. Whatever you do, do not stop or change your blood pressure medicine without checking with your doctor first. Even if you do add some of the lifestyle changes that we've talked about, limiting your smoking or no smoking, limiting your alcohol, increasing your healthy foods, you still may need to be on high blood pressure medication if your doctor has prescribed that. So, in summary, cutting back on sodium as a part of the DASH diet can help lower your blood pressure and cut back on sodium if we limit our processed foods, we limit fast foods and other restaurant foods, we read the nutrition facts and labels and choose low sodium foods, and if we cook at home without adding much salt. Thank you so much for tuning in today to our lesson. I look forward to seeing you on a very chilly Saturday morning at the UGA golf course. Have a great day.